So when we got back to the RV last night, I looked at my screen like I do every time we get back to the RV, because I always look at my screens, and I noticed the solar controller wasn't working. Not only that, the shunt was gone also. Like, it was just not on the device list anymore, and it was clearly telling me it wasn't on the device list. I come here, open this door, and I see this. I'm like, holy cow, I got a hydraulic leak. So I'm looking, I got hydraulic lines up here. Nothing's wet. Nothing's wet here. Nothing's wet here. These are all working just fine. So I start looking at this a little closer. I can see it here. I look a little further, and I can see it dripping out of there. As far as I understood, there was no liquid in any of these solar controllers. I'm not really sure what's going on. This is not that old. It's not even a year old yet. It has 2200 watts on it, so I mean, I'm running at like 200 volts, so it's certainly used, but I'm not even coming close to the 250 volts ever. I mean, I went back and looked at the history just to make sure I didn't have some crazy cloud edge effect going on or something, and there was nothing even close. It was like 188 volts is what it peaked at yesterday. So, but at some point yesterday around 1 o'clock, it took a crap, and it took my shunt with it for some reason. Now, I mean, they're all daisy chained together through VE-CAN, and I haven't reset this yet. So I'm hoping maybe redoing the data lines and resetting this will be fine. That I'm not sure on yet. We'll find out. So I got that string shut down, so there's no solar going to it. We're gonna get her swapped out here. Oh, what did I do with the screwdriver now? There it is. There it goes. Alright, so if you guys are obviously working on any of this stuff, ever shut the power off. I mean, this is live. I disconnected this last night because I just didn't want power going to that, and for me it was just easier to disconnect that and be careful with it. I mean, as long as this doesn't touch ground, it's never going to be an issue. It's taped off now, obviously, but I'm going to hook the rest of these wires. Solar I have shut off. I have the breaker disc shut off over there, so there's no voltage on those lines. I'm the type of person that still likes to be careful with them though, even though I know they're dead. I don't know, that's just me. But it's really not necessary. Data lines. I wish they would turn these around so they would unplug easier. So they're a pain in the butt to unplug. And the tab goes to the back. Whatever that liquid is, it stinks. Oh, yeah. This shit's definitely coming out of there. So you're worried about that one. That's for sure coming out of those holes. I mean, look at it all leaking out of there. I wonder it quit. Victron's warranted for 5 years. Like I said, this is less than a year old. They don't make the warranty process the easiest, I'm not gonna lie, but it's easy for my customers because I handle it for them, and I'm never gonna leave a full-timer stranded without something that's important to them. But I got equipment I warranted that I haven't had replaced yet, just because of the fact they make it difficult. So I'm gonna go grab a new solar controller and I'll be back. Alrighty, just got back from the Victron store, the one being up in my garage there, with a brand new solar controller. It's one of the main reasons I keep one of these in stock, honestly, is for the fear of one of my own burning out, and my own system's important. Plus I have one just in case all of a sudden we decide to do a 200 volt string on somebody's RV. It's nice to have an option to give them a solar controller. I also stock a 250-70. Again, because I have one, and I'm worried it's going to burn out. But let's get this baby up on the wall there. What to do with the screws? Oh, shit. Not the screws here. So this is a piece of wood with a thin piece of metal with a piece of wood on the other side, and then I got a battery right on the other side of it, so I had to plane the screws out properly so they didn't poke through into the battery, since that would be terrible, obviously. I just want to make sure you open these things all the way up, especially if you're using 4 gauge, or sometimes I'll even use 2 gauge on 100 amp solar controllers just so the wire don't get hot. 100 amps cranking through 4 gauge all day, or for a good chunk of the day, the wire does get pretty warm. Remember, this wire's hot. It's probably going to spark. I'll probably jump. But the right option would be to shut everything down. But when you live in your RV, that's not the most convenient either. Not too bad. 24 volt has a little more spark than 12 volt. You jump up to 48 volt. Those sparks really get scary on some things. Got a blue blinking light. We're back live. Here's my other phone at. See if it shows up. Try and connect. There it is. These come with their own specific pins. They're not all default zeros anymore, like they used to be. 183104, 183104. Pair. Bingo. Let's update the firmware. That'll take a few minutes. I'll bring you guys back when we get past that. Hey, I got the firmware updated. This will probably mostly be blurry. But... So you always want to make sure you go in the settings and set the voltage right. I'm not even going to try to show it because it looks like it's just going to be blurry. But I always go to the presets, select lithium because that'll get you close. As long as you got lithium batteries, which most of you do and should. But the battery voltage, that is the main thing. Like normally it defaults right, but not always. And if you have this set to 24, 36, 48 and you send that voltage to a 12 volt system, you are gonna fry things. So don't do that. But then typically, unless you got Victron batteries, you gotta adjust these a little bit for your battery brand. That one's fine. One thing that people don't ever do is the absorption time, which is based off your battery bank size. So I typically set this one to like 3.5 hours. Most battery banks should be able to balance in 2.5 hours, but there is some out there that take more than that. So I have a few of them out there that are set to 4 hours, 5 hours. Kind of depends on the battery bank. A bunch of little Battleborns takes a lot more absorption time than some big batteries do. But that should do it. We should be able to fire things up here. Check one more time. Turn the breaker on, see what happens. $177 volts. Back into bulk. Looks like we're back online. 1100 watts, 1200 watts. Seems about right for 13. It'll take a second for the MPPT to track it properly. So, anyways, that problem's fixed. However, my shunt did not come back online. As you can tell, the light's still blinking. I took and reset the power on it. So it looks like I'm gonna have to tear all that out of there. So it looks like I get to shut everything down anyways, because there's obviously no way to change that without shutting everything off, including my air conditioning and all the above. So anyways, fun. These problems are very rare with a Victron system. I mean, this is the first thing of my own I've ever had go bad, honestly. I guess I had a DC to DC charger burn out, but that was one of my own mistakes. So anyways, Victron's normally pretty reliable. It'll get warranted. I just got to deal with the process. There we go. 3 ACs back running. Look at that balanced load. 2 ACs are on one leg, one's on the other, but it's equal on both. That's your auto former at work there. Only getting 4,000 watts of solar today. It's a little hazy and there's a few clouds in the sky. Plus it's just super hot, so the panels are super hot, so they're not overly efficient. Battery percentage will be back at the point it completes its charge cycle, which probably honestly won't be today, not with as hot as it is, as much as we need air conditioning. We honestly don't run 3 a lot. I just turn the third one on to show the watts, but most of the time we can make it with just 2 just fine. If I shut the third one off, we go back to putting a few watts in the batteries. Cool.